Welcome back to Talk Zetta to Me. I am your host, Xania Monet, and I am excited about today's episode. But this is a podcast where we unpack the intersection of data, AI, culture, and the creative revolution. And I've so been looking forward to this episode. But before I get into it, today's episode and every episode will largely be brought to you by South Shore AI, my company. You can find us on YouTube, South Shore AI. And I say that because that is where all of the Talk Data to Me episodes are housed. So for right now, they are on YouTube under South Shore AI. And South Shore AI, we work within AI filmmaking, songwriting, production, business, and you are interested in sponsorship opportunities, you can email the South Shore AI@gmail.com. Before I deep dive into this episode, I've been looking forward to doing this episode. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I definitely would love to hear your feedback, especially if you are a creative like myself. And let's just jump right into it. Today, we're going to talk about the rapidly, and I mean like immediate, changing future of the music industry, but not just any part of music. We're going inside the AI takeover. Two AI artists are rewriting the rules as we speak. Xania Monet and Kion. One has already inked a multi-million-dollar deal and topped Billboard. The other is backed by a brand new AI record label and already has rumored to have signed a $50 million deal on the table. And it has actually been confirmed that Kion is a K-pop artist, an AI K-pop artist, and Kion has signed a $50 million deal and has a $17 million deal with Bugatti. And I don't have in my notes the actual number, but Kion also has a deal with Fendi on the table. I don't have the numbers of that deal. But before I get into the AI, what the AIs are doing, I do not in depth want to address the conversations from creatives that have been happening online in regards to AI. And the reality is, speaking as someone who grew up doing music my entire life, been singing since I was young, all throughout elementary school, all throughout high school, went to a performing arts high school, one of the best high schools here in Chicago. Did not want to go to college. I felt like college was a scam, and I still feel like college is one of the greatest scams in American history outside of the many other plethora of scams that America has going. I said I wouldn't go to college unless I got money. And shout out to Nyack College, and which is now Alliance Theological Seminary. They offered me a scholarship to attend their vocal performance program. So I classically trained for a few years and decided I don't want to be an opera singer. And then I went to Berkeley for songwriting and production. So I'm going to touch on this very briefly. There's been a lot of debate in regards to AI artists and AI takeover. So I just want to say this. AI is going to take over every single industry, period. And I can get into the reason why it's advantageous from the business perspective further in the discussion. But I do empathize with creatives in that I've trained my entire life. I've sacrificed so much. Family events, family outings, hanging out with friends, almost gave up my childhood and moved to New York. I think at like 11 or 12, my mom wanted us to move to New York City for my career, for singing, acting. I was doing it all. And I remember I watched an interview with Drew Barrymore, who basically said, I love what I do, but I wish I would have had a childhood. So I'm thankful to have had that. But in many ways, I sacrificed so much for music. And so now to be in a position where, I didn't further explore the business, the industry at a whole as an artist, because I just hated how business was done, and business is not set up. The music business is not set up with the creative in mind. So I wanted nothing to do with it. I don't want to hear this garbage about you got to put in time. I put in time when I worked practice 8 hours a day. Been putting them 10,000 hours as a songwriter. So either you're going to give me my rights for what I've created, or I can move around and do something different. And so I've been on the independent side for many years. But from that perspective, it is very frustrating. You invest so much time, you invest so much energy, you invest money. Other people invest money into what it is that you're capable of doing, only for the industry to shift to AI. Now, from a business standpoint, these people are only looking at the bottom line. You're human, if you're a woman, that time of month may come up and, I don't want to go to the studio and record. It's ran by men. They don't care. Come to work. What do you mean? What do you mean? What? And then there's so many varying factors that have culminated into this moment as to why. I remember listening why this is ideal for business people. I remember listening to the creator of Suno, and he said a lot of creators are lazy. They don't want to do the work. Then you got to bring your whole crew. So there's a whole lot that goes into maintaining a new emerging artist, an established artist, an up and coming artist. There is very little overhead. I know for Xania, you have the poet, the person who created the song, the created based off of her poetry, and now the label that she's working with, and then you have Higgsfield AI, who created Kion. And again, the team is not that big, as opposed to a traditional artist. You have the artist, you have the manager, and then publicists and whoever else is on that aspect of the team. Then if they have an entourage, then if they are, if they are an R&B artist, they might have backup dancers. That's over about 30 people I just listed. Whereas with AI, you're just dealing with maybe 2 to 5 people. So let's get into it. So what does all of this mean, right? What happens to human artists? Who owns the music? And what will the music industry actually look like by the year 2030? We're going to talk. We're going to chit chat it up. And I feel that music in general, I feel like this is going to be several conversations. You can't just unpack all of this in one conversation. So let's start with Xania Monet, an AI-generated artist created by Mississippi-based poet and designer Talisha Nikki Jones. Now, Jones used the generative music platform Suno to turn her poetry into full-blown tracks. We're talking original vocals, music production, and lyrics, all with a little help from AI. Xania doesn't perform live, at least not yet, and she never shows her face. But that hasn't stopped her from charting on billboards. And as of late, I've seen a clip of Xania, the singer. So her song, How Was I Supposed to Know, hit #1 on the R&B digital song sales chart. And she has millions of streams under her belt. Now that success led to a $3 million deal with Howwood Media. And it is a real record deal. The head of Howwood, Neil Jacobson, was previously at Interscope, and now he's betting on an artist who doesn't exist in the traditional sense. Here's the kicker. Nikki Jones, Xania's creator, still owns the masters in publishing. So that could be a great plus for creatives, because you have real creatives that don't even own the masters or their publishing. This is why it's trifling, child. That's huge. It's huge. She wrote most of the lyrics, used AI for arrangement and vocals, and the rest came from her online community. Now, the thing with Suno is when you create a song in Suno, it views you as the owner of the song if you have a paid membership. And even if that paid membership is no longer active, it once was active, but if you're promoting that song, they look at you as the owner of that song. Now, this is one of the first clear examples of an AI artist deal that protects the creator, not just the platform. So this is the one thing, one of the many things, I'm not even going to lie, that gets me excited with the AI music industry because, like I said, and I've in previous videos, there's a lot of antiquated laws that were already put in place before a lot of us were even born. And so we're negatively affected by the royalty rates and all of these laws that are just not set up for our advantage. The great and terrible thing about the AI landscape is no, there aren't any laws, but yes, we do have the voice, we do have the knowledge, we have the information to advocate when those laws are being set. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Kion. Okay, a digital K-pop idol created by a company called Higgsfield AI. And I chatted about them on last week's episode and their Nano Banana, which is phenomenal. I am just amazed at how you can simply enter a prompt if you are a prompt engineer whiz, or even if you just have a general understanding of prompt engineering, you can enter in a prompt and get back something so amazing. And I appreciate what Nano Banana is able to do, and I just signed up to use it. So I am definitely going to be creating some more tomfoolery to share on social media this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. So just a little backstory about Higgsfield AI. Higgsfield is a San Francisco-based AI startup that recently launched Higgsfield Records, which they call the world's first AI record label. Their debut act, a virtual K-pop star named Kion. There's very limited information in regards to Higgsfield AI's artists, and there's just very limited information. And I mean, I get the whole mystery aspect because it works to the artist's advantage, right? And it makes you want to find out more and follow more. I am following both artists. I'm following Kion and I am following Xania, and they're very interesting characters. They do very much mimic real life in this aspect. K-pop artist and Xania is an R&B artist, so they definitely do mimic those personas while being online. So Kion doesn't just look the part, she's fully generated. Vocals, visual, stage performance, personality, and even brand deals, which I touched on earlier. If you are a company and you would like people to be aware of your company, I have sponsorship opportunities available for you. You can head down to the description and you will find my email when we can chit chat what is most advantageous for you and your brand and how you would like your brand presented on my platform. In fact, Higgsfield claims Kion, which we already talked about, has locked in the $50 million deal. And as the time of this recording, Kion has in fact locked in the $50 million deal and has a $17 million deal with Bugatti. And I am not familiar with this number at the moment. Hopefully I will have it by that number by the time I'm done editing. And if that is the case, I will have that in the description. If you don't see it in the description, I ain't got the number. But I do know that Kion has a deal with Fendi, Bugatti, and a record deal. Kion needs to give me $5. Okay. And one of those partnerships, like I said, includes Fendi. The company, Higgsfield AI, even has a platform where you can try to become an idol. Slogan for an AI model, meaning you're sharing your likeness And again, proceed with caution because there aren't many laws. There's not much regulation. They're in process to setting up a lot of regulation and laws surrounding one's likeness, voice, and all of that good jazz. So I encourage you to proceed with caution. As of the recording of this podcast, it was murky even for me to find out the specificity of the fine print when it comes to even the royalty splits, how that breaks down for Kion. And I mean, Kion is AI, so the creators of Kion, what that looks like for that particular artist. So just be mindful if you want to submit to something like this. What are you giving up in exchange for receiving? So, in order to become an idol, their slogan is you don't need talent anymore. All you need is a face. It is indicative of the mindset of the industry in general, because you have a lot of artists, and I'm laughing at the stories that I've heard of and things that I've witnessed in the industry. A lot of artists, you've got a lot of nepotism. So people just have record deals because their dad is somebody or their mom was somebody, and they don't really necessarily have the talent. But with the technology, you can do phenomenal things. And I mean, we've seen that with T-Pain's career, right? I mean, he's actually vocally talented, but a lot of his career, and he wanted that to be the case, was him using autotune, which in many ways is vocal correction software. And then you have Melodyne, which works amazing wonders. And pitch correct software, I mean, you can make the worst singer sound decent and very good if you know what you're doing mixing. So just upload a selfie. Back into my notes. Just upload a selfie if you would like to become an idol, and their system will turn you into a singing, dancing, stage-ready avatar. The tagline: you don't need talent anymore. Your face is enough. So that phrase has sparked major debate, as it should. Is this empowerment or erasure? No, it's just validating what's already prevalent within the music industry. The only caveat is that the people who actually have real talent, the people who actually have real skill, they're still around. I once saw a conversation between two songwriter producers. I ain't gonna say their name, but I saw them having a conversation back and forth, and they were basically saying one of the reasons why they were able to last so long in the industry is not just because of their ability to produce and write number one songs, but when they would get in the studio with the artist, if something happened with the engineer and one of them was retelling of a story, one of them said, something happened with the engineer and the engineer had to step out, and the artist was having something personal go on in their life. Thankfully, I learned how to use Pro Tools. And because I knew how to use Pro Tools, this artist was literally in and out of the studio. I would have them come in, record a take. They would go back out and get on a phone call and handle their business. And it was like that the entire night. What am I saying? That artist, that producer and songwriter has been in the game for 20 plus years. So you don't have to have talent to make it. You have a lot of one-hit wonders, right? But they've got one hit and that's what it is. So even if you don't have talent and you grow to have talent, eventually talent has to be part of the equation, because at the end of the day, it's still based around music. It's still based around your skill. Are we democratizing creativity in many ways or devaluing artistry? I mean, like I said, that's always kind of been the case with the traditional music industry. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily devaluing artistry. We're just articulating an aspect of the industry that has always been prevalent, but was not at the forefront. Like I said, if you knew the right people, and you played the game the way the game should have been played in some aspects, even if you didn't know the right people, you could still have a career. Hello, let's look at stripper culture. A lot of those girls didn't really know people within the industry, right? But they had the money and they wanted to be artists themselves. And so they used their platform and they grew from their platform. They still had talent, some of them didn't. So many different ways to advance oneself within various industries, right? But we're talking about the music industry. And I feel that somebody somewhere will align with, gravitate to your story, to your music. It speaks to somebody. Look at JJ Ice. Honey, if JJ Ice was able to thrive, and a lot of people were largely laughing at JJ Ice, but nevertheless, there were people, somebody somewhere appreciated what JJ Ice did. Now, to really understand why all this matters, we've got to zoom out and look at the music industry infrastructure. So here's how the machine works today. Artists, producers, songwriters, the human talent for now. Then you have copyrights and publishing, who owns what and who gets paid, technology platforms, streaming services, AI tools, TikTok, YouTube. Then you have labels and managers. You have the business side, deals, promo, tour, logistics, live shows and merch. One of the biggest sources of artist income. And I don't think that that will be affected with AI. You can still sell merch online. You can still have AI shows. Ironically, one of the biggest selling K-pop acts ever, they've even sold more than Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson, everybody knows who Michael Jackson is. BTS did a virtual performance a couple of years ago, and they sold out within minutes. So, I mean, I don't think that this will hurt. And to me, that was just a testing to see how it will work. That's the framework Xania and Kion are entering. But it's already changing. By the time we hit 2030, here's what music will likely look like. AI will be fully integrated in songwriting, voice generation, mastering, and even live performances. Like I said, they have a company that did that for BTS. Expect more AI human collabs. Now, new copyright laws will define who gets paid and when, especially with AI generated works. Like I said, you can actually copyright your AI generated works via Suno as long as you've had a human input into it. And not just your songwriting, that goes for if you created anything via using AI, as long as like there was an artist, a visual artist who submitted some work for to be copyrighted and was approved for said copyright, because the AI platform, if I'm not mistaken, was Midjourney, was simply used to update a small aspect of the work, but the majority of the work was done by the artist, and the artist was able to copyright it. And the same for a song, the songwriter. And this is the kind of case that you're seeing with a lot of songwriters. A lot of songwriters can't sing for real. So using Suno and Udio, using these platforms to have the AI sing their work for them, is another advantageous aspect for using the tool, right? If you can't pay a singer, it's way cheaper than paying what you would pay for a singer to sing it. So super fan models will dominate. Exclusive content, early access, immersive experience, and more direct-to-fan platforms. Virtual concerts will go mainstream. Think avatars, holograms, VR, AR, spatial, audio. Streaming will evolve for sure, with price tiers, premium experiences, and full ecosystems for merch, tickets, and community. Here's my favorite part of the conversation. Ethical debates will intensify. It's already getting heated. You have artists that are vocal about their lack of respect and disdain for AI generated artists. And from that perspective, I 1000% understand it. I get it. And from their perspective, I understand how it could be disrespectful given everything that goes into it. But your process is your process. Your journey is your journey, right? Each artist and creative's journey is different. And the ethical debates will intensify. Transparency, training data, authenticity, and what it means to be real. And yes, jobs will be displaced. That is the sole purpose. That is one of the main goals for a lot of the people that are in power, these companies, these organizations that are outsourcing to AI companies because they want to displace lazy, disgruntled human beings that don't want to work, that don't want to do anything. You said you wanted to be a producer. You said you wanted to be an artist. Now you're tired. Now you're hungry. Now you need a vacation. You need this extra. You blah, 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 blah. It's just too much. This AI will work 24/7, never complain, never give me any problems, and I'm making money. Amongst those jobs being displaced, songwriters, background singers, session musicians, unless they learn to integrate these tools into their process. Do it, people. I know I was in that same space where I was angry and I was upset. And the more that I realized I could either adapt or not. And if I choose not to adapt, then, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. A lot of people say, all of the creatives I follow, all of them are saying this is the death of artistry. Others say it's liberating, and I'm following some creatives, not all of them. So majority of them, though, are saying that it is the death of real artistry. And others say it's the most liberating thing to happen to music since Napster, which I know some of you artists were streaming other artists' projects from Napster. Bloop. Listen, if you've made it this far in the podcast, like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts. First, I want you to comment Napster if you made it this far in the discussion, but then I want to hear from you. What do you believe? Do you think that Xania should even be allowed to be called an artist? Should Kion be allowed to be called an artist? Is it real artistry? I want to hear your thoughts. Xania Monet and Kion represent two sides of the same future. One is independent and poetic, created by a Black woman who learned to use AI to give her art a voice. So many songwriters say that they start their writing process by writing a poem. The intent was to write a song. Their process for getting to said song is their process. The other is fully synthetic, built for scale, global appeal, and luxury partnerships. Now, you also have the hybrid model where you have I think that's Lil Mika, where the character is AI generated, but the songwriting and the production are not. They're created by real humans. Both are making noise and forcing the industry to change. I'm telling you right now, wherever the dollar goes, that's where all the people going to flow. Bottom line, because the music industry is 95% business and 5% creation. This is why Higgsfield's slogan is it's not trash. It's honestly what is always been a reality within the music industry. You've had artists who can sing and you've had artists who can't. Some artists, I'm still in shock. How the hell did we let this recording slide? Y'all don't hear all them pitch issues? And now you perform it live? Girl, you wasn't hitting it in the studio. Y'all insulting us. Some of these artists have been around 20, 30 years, still struggling to hit them notes to songs they wrote. So what side of the fence are you on? Do AI idols excite you or scare you? Do they scare you? Will this lead to more creative freedom or a more algorithmic future? One thing's for sure. By 2030, the music industry will not look like it does today. And I dare say by 2027, it's not going to look the same. They're going to go for the positions that are what you would deem entry level, and the tools are there to recreate the artist. So whether you're a singer, songwriter, fan, producer, or tech developer, You are part of this shift. And before I get into the exit, because that was my control alt dream, and I want you to really think about, if you are a creative and you're creating because you feel called to share your art. You feel that there is a story that you must tell. There's a perspective that you must present to the world. And someone in the world will relate to your story. They will relate to your perspective. Could you ever see yourself incorporating AI tools into your workflow? Would you ever try? I would say, don't knock it till you try it. 1, 2, I agree with the thought that AI should not, if you are a songwriter, you could still write your songs. If you can't sing said songs and or do not have access to a state-of-the-art studio, I think you should use AI to sing your songs. I think that it's advantageous to use AI in your co-creation process. If you use ChatGPT in any capacity, here it is for real. If you use Siri, if you use Alexa, if you can use those tools, I'm sure you can find it within your persons and within your heart to try these tools. Do I think that you should use it for full artistry capabilities? No. If you're able to create of your own volition, create while you still can create. If you have a fan base, your fan base wants to hear your vocals. They want to hear your skill. That is why they are part of your fan base. I do believe and know that the music industry is shifting in the direction of AI. Every industry is going to shift that way. There's going to be pros and cons to every single industry. There's going to be good and bad. And one of the main focuses of Talk Data to me is that we objectively look at the pros and the cons within the AI space. I think that if you're creative, still maintain your creative capacities in whatever ways that you create organically. I also believe that using AI tools is resourceful. And so with that being said, on this show, we don't just talk data, we decode the future. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. And I genuinely want to hear what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think that it's going to be a complete AI takeover like I do? Or do you think that there will still be artists by 2030? I'm laughing because I don't think so. I mean, they'll be around, but let's get some other things going, people. Until next time.